Good evening, NorCal Carters. This is Jason, and I'm live in Davis from Turn 2 Racing, and I'm here with Patrick. And tonight was the grand opening for Turn 2 Racing, and basically Turn 2 Racing is a bunch of racing simulators, different setups for each simulator, and they're open in Davis. They'll be open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. For all their information, you can go to turn2racing.com. Patrick, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. So I have to pry this out of Patrick because he didn't really want to do the podcast. But so you have a nice little setup here. Right now you have 4 live machines.
Yep, 4 of them.
And I don't know much about racing simulations or the setups or anything else. So briefly explain the 4 different setups you have here.
The one up in the front here is a formula rig, and it has a traction loss unit, so as you break traction, it's actually swaying the whole rig left and right. And then it has a speed-sensitive wind machine, so it's blowing faster or slower wind at you, just to give you a little bit of speed sensation. And then I've got another motion rig that's made for more of an interior car view, like a GT-style car, and that one's also motion. And then we've got an adult rig, or for older kids, a rig that's not motion but still has all the same steering setups. And then we have a smaller unit with less powerful steering for the kids. So those would be the 4 different ones. They're all running the same simulation program. We can alter the effects of the handling, and add assists on it, like if somebody needs to have automatic or manual transmission. So we can alter a lot of the physics files on it.
Okay, so tonight was your grand opening, so you were working out some of the little kinks. When will you have all the units linked up together so there's head-to-head racing action?
I would say probably next week I'll have all the other programming stuff all figured out and get them linked together so people can race each other versus racing the AI.
So you'll be able to do 4 machines at once?
Yeah. The only downside to it is it takes a little bit of a notice to get it going. It's not just click a couple buttons. You have to create a server, and it takes a couple minutes to get it going. But yeah, you could link all 4 of them up together if you wanted. Okay,
so for those of you that are interested in doing a head-to-head action, reach out to Patrick via his website, turn2racing.com, and schedule an appointment or a reservation so he can plan ahead for groups. And man, it was a fun 4 hours out here. Again, I'm not real big on the racing simulation stuff. Even on video games, I don't usually play racing games much. And my on-track performance usually shows that. I'd rather play Skyrim or NBA basketball. But I love driving karts, and I love the racing feeling. And I was really surprised with, what is the one with all the action motion? What unit is that?
That one would be like the full motion simulator.
Okay, so the full motion simulator, that one was a lot of fun. You actually feel the simulator throwing you into the seat belts under braking and throwing you back in the seat under acceleration. So that one was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that. And then you have the other one was the skid loss control, or just loss
the traction loss control?
Yeah, traction loss control. That was a lot of fun if you like drifting around the corner and feeling the back end brake loose because the whole sim slides around. If you go on Facebook and you look for NorCalCarters.com, I did a couple live videos tonight, and I tried to highlight each machine so you could see how the machines were operating and how the motion is. And give us a couple more details about these machines, Patrick.
I use a couple different programs. Some of them are the ones that the professional car drivers use to train. And if you look, at any reports that are done lately, a lot of the big teams are all using simulations to test different setups, to test different driving lines and techniques. Or if someone's never been to that particular track, it gives them a head start. And you can definitely tell someone that's never been to a track before. You put them out there, and they're pretty well going to hit the wall in the first few turns. So simulators, the technology is really there to give a lot of good feedback, and these have a full data logger system, so you can see where you're making mistakes, where you can improve. You can overlay data with other drivers. It's just as technical as real racing.
I don't know if your computer hard drive was large enough to record all of my driving errors.
You had a few too many 360s to record all that. Even from starting off the line, I think I even saw you do a 360. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, no, it's I need some help. Yeah, and it was just fun to drive the traction loss. What is it called?
Traction loss unit.
Yeah, the traction loss unit. That one was a lot of fun to drive. I was practicing on the Daytona Grand Prix track, and going through the banked oval, when you go from the flat to the oval where it's highly banked, it's amazing how the simulator tries to rip the wheel out of your hand. And I've never driven Daytona, but I have driven some other bumpy tracks. And to me, that was pretty lifelike. I mean, it's trying to rip the wheel out of your hand.
Yeah, and I have the steering. I've still got to figure out profiles for the steering. I have it numbed down a lot. At maximum force, it'll do 12.5 foot-pounds. So I have it pretty well subdued right now, and it'll take me a few weeks to kind of fine-tune all the settings to get exactly where I want the feedback.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the visual where you have the wraparound screens, and then you have the force feedback on the wheel. And if you're running the same track over and over and over again, it's amazing the details on just even the subtle bumps on the track. And you move over a foot or two on the simulator, and it feels different in your hand.
Yeah,
that is quite incredible.
And it's consistent too. You were, before your tires started falling off, you were, until you made a mistake, you were gaining, 3/1000ths of a second lap by lap, and then you'd end up kind of
hitting the wall.
Hitting the wall, doing a 360 down a straightaway, who knows what. But it's really good for a training tool for sure. It gives you a lot of feedback.
Yeah, so for those of you that are going to the Gold Rush race this weekend, which is at Dixon, how far is the Dixon track from where we're sitting?
At this point, it's not even a half an hour. So
within a 30-minute drive from the Dixon kart track, you guys could wrap up your practice tomorrow, head over to turn2racing.com, get the directions. For those of you familiar with Davis, it's off Russell Boulevard in the same parking lot as the Trader Joe's, but it's inside the mall. And there's some really good food eateries around here. There's a really good ramen noodle shop across the way. There's a sourdough sandwich shop inside the mall. So you bring the family out after you're out at Dixon, grab a quick bite to eat, throw a few bucks towards Patrick so he can get this thing started. And this is just a great I'm tripping over my words because I'm actually very surprised with how much fun I had with this experience.
Yeah, I saw you giggling like a little schoolgirl a lot of times, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, you were on that thing for hours today. Everybody really had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was the experience, the feedback. That's what made it so enjoyable, is when you're hanging on the steering wheel and you actually have to put effort into the steering wheel. And when you hit the wall wrong, it hits you back.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts is when you get hit by somebody or you hit somebody, and with the motion systems, it kind of gives you a startle, like getting hit from back with somebody that's bump drafting you or something, and it gives you the same sensation. Yeah,
I moved a few people out of the way, and then being that I was slow, they caught me because I was a lap down. And they returned the favor, and they moved me out of the way, and you feel it.
I think they moved you out of the way harder, though.
Yeah, they did. They were going a lot faster. So when they're hitting you, you feel it through the seat, you feel it through the floor, you feel it through the steering wheel. That was a lot of fun. And so just to repeat the hours, it's turn2racing.com. Fridays, you're open from 4 p.m. to 8
Yep, 4 to 8, and then Saturday and Sunday from noon to 8 p.m.
Noon to 8 p.m. So, since this is a NorCal Karter podcast, I have to ask you, what's your favorite karting track in NorCal?
Favorite karting track? Blue Max would definitely be at the top of my list because, I've been going there on and off since, 94. So that one's just kind of nostalgic to me. The other track I would say would be Reading. There's something, I always have liked the Reading track. I like just the atmosphere, and the parking lot is totally open. I like seeing the snow on the mountains. I've just always liked the Reading track for that, but those would probably be my two favorites.
Very good choices. And on the racing simulator, what is your favorite track?
I've always liked the Daytona Road Course is one of my favorites.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I guess maybe just being a kid, I used to love watching some of the local racers doing the 24-hour Rolex. That was one of the races I used to always try and watch. So that one's always been kind of special. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. It would be, to me, it would be a challenging setup. You've got a banked oval, and then you're going through some tight sections on the infield. So you're, just like with karting, you're trying to tune for, pluses and minuses. Are you trying to tune for more aerodynamic slip, or do you need to have a little bit, more grip somewhere for the infield? I think you've got to tune for quite a different setup.
That's a unique perspective. I like it. And so we didn't even talk about really the programming on the race simulator. How many tracks do you have programmed into each machine?
Right now, I'm still in the process of adding them. I have about 35 loaded onto the sims, but I'll eventually have about 200 of all the real tracks around the world loaded on it. Okay.
And will you incorporate some karting tracks possibly?
The softwares that we use don't have karting as a simulator. There is a mod that someone has attached a kart to something else, and a lot of the kart sims, to me, just the physics don't feel right. Not yet. So eventually, I would like to add that and use that for training, but right now I don't think some of the sims are quite there yet.
Well, I had to ask because this is NorCalCarters.com. And how many car selections are currently on the Sims?
I probably have about 50. Anything from, Cup Miata to Formula One. So you've got a broad range, anything in between. Open wheel, I've got, Formula 3, 4. There's even some of the, F-1600s to... you could have Lamborghini. Anything that you can think of that's available.
So I'm not going to give anyone a driving tip on the simulators because my driving sucks. But I will say, if you've never done the simulator before, it is a lot of fun. And I would probably start out with the Mazda Miata, the Miata Cup. So that way it's at a slower pace. You can learn the tracks. You can learn. What I was really surprised with was the brake pedal. The brake pedal felt real.
Yes.
You have to apply real pressure to get the car to slow down.
Yeah, so the brakes on these are actually a load cell. A lot of brakes use just a potentiometer that's just measuring the distance. This is actually detecting how much load. So in life, your body can remember muscle memories on force, but you can't get a muscle memory just on a position. And so I have it so your force that you have to do it is harder, and it's a linear force. It's not just this is a 0 and this is 100. It definitely has a progressive feel.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that feature once I figured it out, because a few times I went straight off the track, and mentally I'm thinking, I'm on the brakes. And then when you brought up the pressure gauge and you put that front and center, and you can see the input and the amount of pressure being applied to the pedal, then I realized, I'm just lighting the gauge up. It's not even filling the bar. So that was another nice feature about these sims. These are very high-tech simulators.
Yeah, I think some people will struggle if they're used to arcades or any video game because, like you said, you thought you were hitting the brake because you're used to just a little bit of pressure and you're on full brake, but you look at the gauge and you only had 10% on there. So I think some people might struggle with that until they disconnect it from a video game and connect it with reality. But yeah, it's a very sophisticated software for sure. All the tracks they drag lasers around the track, so every bump and imperfection, that's the real thing. And it gives you a pretty real sensation.
Yeah, I will definitely be back because it was a very enjoyable experience. Well, Patrick, thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, turn2racing.com is located in Davis, California. And they're open Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Come check them out.